Hello everyone. Welcome back to a new lecture of the series Introduction to Toy Design. My name is Dr. Supradip Das. I am an assistant professor at the Department of Design at IIT Guwahati. Well, toys are not just playthings. They are cultural artifacts that evolve with humanity while retaining universal elements that make certain designs timeless. Today, in this module, we will understand toy story, a brief history. In today's lecture, first, we will look at the history of toy design, where we will first learn about the early toys, their types and their purposes. Second, we will discuss the timeline of toys starting from 4000 BC to the post-World War II and electronic, digital and video game era. Through this lecture, you will be able to understand the historical evolution of toy design, including changes in materials, technologies, and forms of play across different time periods. Also, you will be able to analyze the relationship between toys, culture, and society, examining how social values, gender roles, and technological achievements influence toy development. Also, apply historical insights to contemporary toy design using timeline-based analysis to inform creative, educational, and design-led approaches to play. Toys have long played a vital role in the lives of children, providing not only entertainment but also education, socialization, and development. Across history, the materials, design, and purpose of toys have evolved in tandem with shifts in culture, society, and technology. Examples include toy blocks, board games, and dolls. Toys have been a universal part of childhood across ancient civilizations, serving not only as source of amusement but also as tools for learning, socialization, and cultural transmission. Archaeological and ethnographic research reveals that early toys were often crafted from natural materials and reflected the adult world, rituals, and societal values. Early toys included clay figurines, miniature vessels, animal models, dolls, whistles, and toy weapons. These objects were found in Neolithic, Bronze Age, and later contexts across regions such as North Africa, the Near East, India, Turkmenistan, and Europe. Toys often mimicked adult tools and household items, helping children practice social roles, develop skills, and prepare for adult responsibilities. Some toys had ritual or symbolic significance, as seen in burial contexts and ceremonial uses. In the table, the toy types, material used, and purposes of the early era are clearly presented. First is a clay figure, one of the earliest forms of toys found across ancient civilizations. The material used is clay, a natural, easily available, and moldable material. Because clay can be shaped by hand, it allows children to actively participate in making the toy itself. The purpose of clay figures goes beyond play. Socially, they are used in group play and storytelling. Ritually, many clay figures represent deities, animals, or symbols used in ceremonies. From a learning perspective, they help develop fine motor skills, creativity, and symbolic thinking. The second toy type is miniature vessel toys. Miniature vessel toys, such as small pots, bowls, cups, and jars, have been found across many ancient cultures, including the Indus Valley, Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome. These toys closely resemble everyday household containers scaled down for children. Clay or terracotta using the same techniques as full-sized pottery. The primary purpose of miniature vessel toys was learning through imitation. Children used them to mimic adult domestic activities such as cooking, storing, serving, or ritual offerings. This form of play supported skill development, including hand-eye coordination and understanding of daily routines. Socially, these toys encouraged role play and shared interaction, often played within groups, reinforcing social roles and cooperation. In many cultures, miniature vessels also held ritual significance. Third is dolls, which are among the oldest and most widespread toys found across cultures and historical periods. Traditionally, dolls were made from locally available materials such as clay, wood, fabric, straw, bone, stone, or wax. In many early societies, rag dolls were stitched from leftover cloths, while wooden dolls were carved by hand. Clay and terracotta dolls were often molded and fired, allowing for repeated use and durability. The choice of material reflected the technological knowledge, resources, and social conditions of the time. Soft materials made dolls safe and comforting, while harder material allowed for symbolic or ceremonial use. Dolls create social and emotional development. Through doll play, children engage in role play, imitation, and storytelling, learning about relationships, caregiving, and social roles. Dolls allow children to rehearse everyday life, family structures, and community interactions in a safe and imaginative way. Dolls also carry ritual and symbolic significance in many cultures. Some dolls were used in religious ceremonies, healing rituals, or seasonal festivals, while others were placed in graves as protective or transitional objects. The fourth toy type is toy weapons or tools. Toy weapons or tools are among the earliest forms of play objects found across cultures. These include miniature spears, bows and arrows, swords, shields, farming tools, hammers, and hunting implements designed to resemble the tools used by adults in everyday life. Toy weapons and tools were made from natural and locally available materials such as wood, bamboo, stone, bone, leather, or clay. Wooden weapons were especially common because they were lightweight, durable, and safe for children. Toy weapons and tools were used for learning through imitation and preparation for adult roles. Through play, children practiced skills related to hunting, farming, building, or protection. Activities essential for survival in many societies. This type of play supported physical skill development, including strength, coordination, balance, and hand-eye control. Socially, toy weapons and tools encouraged group play, cooperation, competition, and rule-based interaction, helping children understand teamwork, leadership, and conflict resolution. The last type of toys is musical toys, which have been used by children in ancient and traditional societies. These toys often included small drums, rattles, whistles, flutes, bells, and stringed instruments that closely resembled the full-sized musical instruments used by adults. Musical toys were typically made from natural and locally available materials, with common options being clay and terracotta for creating whistles, wood and bamboo for flutes, shells and seeds for rattles, animal skin for drumheads, and bone or horn for wind instruments. These materials were chosen by their acoustic properties as well as their accessibility, allowing sound-producing toys to be crafted with simple tools and techniques. Early musical toys were social and cultural learning. Through musical play, children developed rhythm, listening skills, coordination, and memory. These toys encouraged group participation, helping children learn timing, cooperation, and communication. From a developmental perspective, musical toys supported sensory and motor development, stimulating hearing, movement, and emotional expression. Here are some more examples of ancient toys. Toys on wheels, which are toy animals mounted on wheels, were popular playthings among young boys in ancient Greece. Knuckle bones. They are usually made of bones, particularly lamb's feet. However, they were also made of bronze and other materials. Played by women and children, the most typical way to play knuckle bones was with 5 bones at a time. The player was supposed to throw one of the bones and try to pick up another from the ground with the same hand before catching the first one again. When the rest of the bones were gathered, the players would have a go at picking up 2 bones, then 3, and so on. Now it is also known as gatte ka khel, पांच पत्थरों का खेल, pacheta, etc. Playgons, a type of toy, were among the most popular girls' toys in ancient Greece. These female figurine dolls were typically made of clay and featured intricate hairstyles. In some instances, the clothing of the dolls was painted, while in others, girls fashioned outfits for their dolls out of rags. Playgons also had an educational purpose by introducing girls to the roles and responsibilities of women in society at that time. On the eve of each girl's wedding day, playgrounds were dedicated to the goddess Artemis. Now, let us look at the timeline of toys starting from 4000 BC. In 4000 BC, Pachisi during Mahabharata is played. It is one of the most famous examples of ancient games from ancient India, also known as Chopar or the game of dice. This is similar to the present-day favorite pastime of every household in the Indian subcontinent, Ludo. In 3000 BC, the first game resembling backgammon is played in ancient Sumeria. Games similar to backgammon had been also played by leaders of ancient civilizations in Greece, Rome, Persia, and the Far East. The material used was marble in Egypt for the first time. In 2000 BC, Mehen. It is one of the first known spiral, track and multiplayer board games of ancient Egypt. It is named after the serpent god, protector of the sun god Ra during his journey through the underworld. The game symbolizes death, protection, and rebirth. The materials used for the boards are stone, wood, and ivory. Around 1000 BC, yo-yo originated from a Chinese toy known as the Diabolo. From China, it is thought that the toy expanded its popularity in two directions. The first was toward Europe, ancient Greece to be more exact. The secondly to the Philippines in Southeast Asia. And stone yo-yos begin to be used in Greece. Kites also originated in China between 1000 to 500 BC, evolving from simple bamboo and silk contraptions used for military signaling, measuring distance, and even religious purposes, rather than just toys. Early kites were constructed from bamboo frames covered with silk or paper. In 600, chess did not just magically become the global phenomenon we know today. Its roots are ancient, weaving back through centuries of history, invention, and imagination. Originating from India as Chaturanga around 600 AD, chess predates much of recorded history and many of the world's greatest inventions. Starting from the 13th century, toys were increasingly manufactured, as there was a profitable market created by parents prepared to buy them. A large majority of toys from this era were made from perishable material like wood, wax, cloth, or even grass. Most toys for the childs of the rich were related to the art of warfare to prepare them for that was considered to be their main task in adult life. In the 13th century, royal toys include castles, engines, and boats. By the 1300s, toys for boys were often mass-produced from molds. They included toy soldiers and other toy animals, the most popular being miniature horses, as medieval society was above all equestrian. For example, a lead and tin alloy knight on a horse made from mold dating to the 14th century was discovered in London. Girls played with toy cooking utensils as well as with dolls, the most common toys, household utensils. Originally painted, these artifacts include a whole array of miniatures of bowls, jugs, plates, and cutlery, such as those uncovered at the sites of Strasbourg Castle with miniature pots and jugs. Rich girls also played with toy kitchen utensils, such as the French princess in the late 1300s, who received bowls and plates made out of silver. And in most societies, the girls played with dolls, preparing for their future lives as adults and mothers. Most dolls were made from textiles, earthenware, wax, grass, or wood. The doll's clothes reflected the social status of its owner. Underprivileged girls, dolls would have had simple clothes, while those for the daughters of the nobility would be much more elaborate and adhere to the fashion of the day. The adult dolls would have allowed the girls to play their future roles depending on their social status. From the 14th century onwards, a market of financially able, caring parents and relatives supported mass manufacture using available technologies. Markets and pilgrimage sites were the best locations to sell these toys, since they were fashioned from the same molds and materials as religious votives and trinkets. As in all societies, the toys allowed the child to imagine and replicate adult life, the better to insert and play his or her future role in society. Now let's look at the Industrial Revolution era. This era transformed toys from handmade limited objects into affordable, widely available products. Mechanized factories replaced small workshops, allowing toys to be mass-produced consistently. New materials such as tin, sheet metal, paperboard, and early plastics enabled more complex and colorful toys, including wind-up mechanisms, model trains, and printed puzzles. As toys have been mass-produced and become cheaper, they have entered the homes of the middle-class families and begun to be viewed as tools for learning, creativity, and childhood development. These eras improved transport networks, speared these toys across global market, establishing the foundation of the modern toy industry and shaping how toys are designed, manufactured, and used today. The 1800s toy timeline saw a divide between homemade toys for the lesser economic background, such as wooden dolls and wooden boats, and manufactured ones for the wealthy, such as rocking horses and dolls. With a rise in educational toys like Froebel's gift in the 1830s to 50s for learning shapes and popular amusements. Germany became a toy-making center and mass production began, bringing new complexity to playtime. In 1824, the first rubber balloon were invented. Ancient people made balloons from animal intestines and other parts. In 1830, the Froebel gifts were educational play materials for young children, originally designed by Frederick Froebel for the first kindergarten at Bad Blankenburg. In 1840, dolls began to be mass-produced in the US. By 1843, the Mansion of Happiness becomes the first board game sold in the US. And in 1886, the BB gun was a descendant of the cap gun, which has invented soon after the Civil War, when some shotgun manufacturers converted their factories to make toys. In 1887, the speaking doll, which had first been invented by Johann Malizel in 1820, is improved when Thomas Edison combined his phonograph technology with a doll, allowing it to speak. The early 1900s marked a turning point in toy history, as play began to reflect rapid technological, social, and material change. In 1901, the battery-powered toy train introduced children to mechanical and electrical play, mirroring the excitement of modern transportation and industry. Just a year later, in 1902, the teddy bear craze began, named after President Theodore Roosevelt. The teddy bear shifted play toward emotional comfort, nurturing, and companionship, a new role for toys at the time. In 1903, Crayola crayons made creativity accessible, encouraging children to express ideas through color and drawing rather than imitation of adult tools. In 1910s also saw the rise of construction and engineering toys. In 1913, the Erector set introduced metal parts, bolts, and gears, allowing children to build working structures like real engineers. In 1914, Tinker Toys allowed using wooden rods and spools to promote open-ended construction and problem solving. By 1915, Raggedy Ann dolls reflected changing ideas of childhood, which are soft, handmade-looking girls designed for comfort, storytelling, and emotional connection rather than realism. In 1916, Lincoln Logs combined architecture and imagination, encouraging children to build cabins and structure inspired by American frontier life. These toys reveal how play in the 1910s evolved from simple amusement to creative, educational, and emotionally meaningful experience, shaped by new materials, modern society, and changing views of childhood. The toys of this era laid the foundation for modern play, where learning, creativity, and imagination go hand in hand. The 1920s saw a movement away from war toys, which had been popular up until that time. A major change in the toy industry came about with the introduction of modern mass production methods. For the first time, the industry was able to produce toys cheaply and sell to a mass market. Toy production was relatively limited in volume until 1927, when polystyrene was invented. Polystyrene's remarkable strength and durability make it a fantastic choice for toy design, unlocking exciting new possibilities for creative toy development. Although the modern style of teddy bear was developed about in 1902, it was only in the 1920s that its popularity took off when companies like the Knickerbocker Toy Company mass-produced them. The Knickerbocker Toy Company started in 1920 and still makes teddy bear today. In the 1920s, musical bears and mechanical bears increased in popularity worldwide. The two leading manufacturers of these novelty bears, Suco and Bing, made bears that walked, danced, played ball, and even did roller skating. In 1928, Mickey Mouse, a cartoon character, was co-created by Walt Disney and Ub Iwerks. He quickly became the long-term icon and mascot of the Walt Disney Company, establishing himself as one of the most recognizable characters in the popular culture. I am referring to Mickey Mouse. Almost immediately, Mickey was turned into a toy, marking a pivotal moment in the history of characters-based play. The first Mickey Mouse toys included plush dolls, figurines, wind-up toys, and teen toys, produced through licensed partnerships approved by Walt Disney. This was one of the earliest examples of a character moving seamlessly from screen to toy, setting a new standard for the toy industry. And Mickey Mouse toys shaped the industry in several key ways. They established the licensed character toy model, where entertainment properties drive toy design. They strengthened emotional attachment as children could physically interact with a beloved animated character. They demonstrated the power of mass media, film, and animation as a catalyst for toy popularity. They helped position toys as part of a broader media ecosystem, not standalone objects. The success of Mickey Mouse toys laid the foundation for future character-driven franchises, influencing everything from comic-based toys to modern film and television merchandise. Mickey Mouse remains a symbol of how storytelling, animation, and toy design can come together to create timeless play experiences. The 1930s was shaped by economic hardships and resilience during the Great Depression, and toys evolved to offer affordable entertainment, social interaction, and escapism. In 1931, Scrabble was invented by Alfred Moshe Butz. Scrabble is a word game in which 4 players score points by placing tiles. Play shifts toward language, strategy, and intellectual engagement, encouraging families to play together at home. Socially, Scrabble reflects the need for low-cost, meaningful entertainment during difficult economic times. Made from simple materials such as wood tiles and cardboard boards, it emphasizes durability and affordability. In 1936, the Monopoly card games extends the popularity of the Monopoly brand into a more compact and accessible format. Play becomes portable and fast-paced, while still reflecting themes of money, risks, and ownership. Socially, it mirrors public fascination with wealth and economic survival during the Depression period. The game relies on printed paper and cards, keeping production inexpensive. By 1937, Paddle's cars introduced a different kind of play focused on physical activity and role play. Children imitate adult driving, reflecting society's growing fascination with automobiles and modern life. Despite economic constraints, paddle cars symbolized aspiration and mobility. Made from stamped metal with rubber and mechanical components, they highlighted craftsmanship and durability in pre-plastic toy manufacturing. In 1930s, balance, intellectual play, social interaction, and imaginative escape using simple, long-lasting materials to respond to the social and economic realities of the time. The 1940s marked a turning point in toy design, shaped by war, innovation, and the promise of rebuilding. During this decade, toys began to move beyond simple imitation and storytelling. Play became more experimental and hands-on. Affordable plastic models, airplanes invited children to assemble, imagine flights, and engage with ideas of engineering and technology in 1940s. In 1943, the Slinky introduced a completely new form of play, one driven by motion, gravity, and surprise. The joy was not in pretending, but in watching physics come alive. By 1949, Lego transformed play even further, offering an open-ended building system where children could construct, dismantle, and rebuild endlessly. Play shifted toward creativity, problem-solving, and exploration. Socially, the toys of the 1940s reflected a world shaped by World War II and post-war recovery. Aviation toys echoed society's fascination with military technology and scientific progress. At the same time, toys symbolized hope and reconstruction. Lego, in particular, embodied post-war values of resilience, imagination, and rebuilding a better future. Toys become more affordable and widely available, signaling a move forward mass-produced play for all children, not just the privileged few. Material innovation defined this era. Plastic emerged as the dominant material, replacing wood and metal due to shortage of technological advances during the war. Plastic allowed toys to be lightweight, durable, colorful, and precisely manufactured. Lego's plastic bricks demonstrated how material precision could support modular, long-lasting play systems, laying the foundation for modern toy design. 1940s toys are a bridge to the modern era where play, materials, and society came together to shape how children learn, imagine, and create. After the Second World War, society became more affluent and established name brand toys became widespread with the development of new technologies such as television advertising, which linked characters to merchandise, shaping children's imagination and identity, and plastics for toy manufacture. Also, economic growth, rising consumer culture, and new materials, especially plastic, reshaped the toy industry. Mass production became faster and cheaper, allowing companies to create colorful, durable toys at an unprecedented scale. From the 1970s onward, the toy industry entered a technological age driven by electronics, microprocessors, and digital entertainment. The digital era also saw online gaming, mobile apps, and smart toys turn play into an interconnected ecosystem. Today's toy landscape blends physical and digital play, known as phygital toys, shaping how children learn, interact, and imagine. The 1950s defined the decade for modern toys, shaped by post-war prosperity, mass media, and changing ideas of childhood. In terms of play, toys of the 1950s became more role-based, imaginative, and identity-driven. In 1952, Matchbox cars introduced realistic palm-sized vehicles that encouraged storytelling, collection, and miniature world building. Children could recreate everyday life through play. Play-Doh, which entered the toy market in 1956 after being repurposed from a wallpaper cleaner, offered an entirely different kind of play, sensory, tactile, and creative. Children could shape, squash, and remake endlessly. Tonka trucks, launched in 1957, emphasized physical, outdoor, and construction play, encouraging strength, durability, and hands-on interaction. Tonka trucks echoed large-scale infrastructure development and industrial optimism. In 1959, the introduction of Barbie transformed play dramatically by introducing aspirational and narrative play, allowing children to imagine adulthood, careers, fashion, and social roles. Socially, 1950s toys reflected a period of economic growth, suburban life, and the rise of consumer culture. Matchbox cars mirrored the automobile boom and expanding road culture. Barbie reflected shifting social conservation around gender, identity, and aspiration, presenting girls with a new kind of doll that imagined futures beyond motherhood. Toys were increasingly influenced by television, advertising, and branding, turning playthings into cultural icons. In terms of materials, the 1950s marked the full arrival of plastics as the dominant toy material. Matchbox cars combined die-cast metal with plastic details for realism and durability. Play-Doh introduced a soft, non-toxic modeling compound that prioritized safety, and reusability. Tonka trucks used heavy gauge steel, showcasing materials, toughness, and longevity. Barbie blended vinyl, plastic, fabric, and molded components, demonstrating how new materials enabled mass production, customization, and details character design. 1950s toy shifted play from simple amusement to storytelling, creativity, and identity formation, laying the foundation for today's toy and media-driven play culture. The 1960s marked a turning point in toy design, shaped by creativity, technology, and rapid social change. In 1960s, toys began to reflect new ways to thinking and imagining. The Etch a Sketch introduced interactive mess-free drawing, encouraging creativity and problem solving through simple mechanical design. In the same year, the Game of Life brought life simulation into play, allowing children to make choices about careers, family, and success, mirroring the growing middle-class dreams of the era. Plastic and mechanical systems dominated these designs, signaling the rise of modern industrial materials. By 1965, play became more action-oriented with the launch of G.I. Joe, marketed as an action figure rather than a doll. It shaped boys' play by introducing character-based storytelling and adventure. Socially, it reflected Cold War ideals of heroism and masculinity, while its plastic body, fabric uniforms, and interchangeable accessories set new standards for modular toy design. In 1966, Hot Wheels revolutionized vehicle play, inspired by car culture and speed. It encouraged competition, racing, and collecting. The use of die-cast metal bodies paired with plastic tracks demonstrated advances in material engineering and performance-focused design. By 1969, toys responded to changing lifestyles and safety concerns. The Nerf ball introduced foam-based materials that allowed safe indoor physical play. It reflected urban living conditions and a growing emphasis on child safety without sacrificing active play. Toys of the 1960s transformed play into a more interactive, imaginative, and action-driven experience, laying the foundation for modern toy culture. As the world moved beyond the hands-on, action-driven toys of the 1960s, the 1970s introduced a new era of digital play, fantasy, and media influences. In 1972, Odyssey, the first video game console, was introduced. The decade begins with a major shift in how children play. The release of Odyssey, the first home video game machine, moves play from physical toys to screen-based interaction. Games are now driven by electronics, rules, and visual feedback, reflecting the growing presence of technology and computers in society. In 1973, play takes a radical turn with Dungeons and Dragons. Instead of fixed outcomes, the game encouraged imagination, collaboration, and storytelling. Players create characters and worlds together, marking the rise of role-playing games and open-ended narrative play. Socially, it reflects a desire for fantasy and escape during a period of cultural change. The launch of Star Wars action figures in 1977 changes the toy industry forever. Toys become extensions of movies, allowing children to reenact cinematic stories or invent new adventures. This marks the beginning of transmedia play, where films, toys, and popular culture merge. Made from molded plastic with detailed accessories, these figures set new standards for collectibility and character-based play. The 1970s transformed play from physical action to digital interaction and shared storytelling, shaping the foundation of modern gaming and franchisee-driven toys. Building on the digital play and fantasy storytelling of the 1970s, the 1980s transformed toys into systems of challenge, media, franchises, and electronic entertainment. In 1980, Rubik's Cube was invented by Hungarian architect Erno Rubik. The toy shifts play toward logic, problem solving, and individual skill mastery. Socially, it reflects a global fascination with intelligence and puzzles. Its precisely engineered plastic mechanism demonstrates advances in manufacturing and design. In 1982, Jenga was invented by Leslie Scott, now owned by Hasbro. It introduces tactile, suspense-filled social play. Players test balance and patience together, creating shared tension and excitement made from simple wooden blocks. Also, in 1982, He-Man, created by Mattel, exemplifies the rise of toy-driven media franchises. Action figures are designed alongside animated television shows and comics, reflecting 1980s consumer culture and branding. Made primarily from molded plastic with bold forms and accessories, He-Man reinforces fantasy, heroism, and collectibility. In 1983, the Nintendo Entertainment Systems redefines play through interactive digital gaming. Developed by Nintendo, it brings immersive characters and repeatable gameplay into homes. Socially, it marked the mainstream acceptance of video games. The toy industry now incorporates electronics, cartridges, and controllers, signaling a major material shift. By 1987, the Koosh ball, invented by Scott Stillinger, introduces sensory and stress relief play. Its soft, flexible rubber strands make it safe to throw and soothing to touch. The toy reflects growing awareness of emotional and sensory needs in play, using synthetic rubber materials. In the late 1980s, Domino Rally, created by Pressman Toys, was a notable STEM toy that emphasized cause and effect and process-based play. Children design chain reactions, encouraging patience, planning, and anticipation. The 1980s expand play into puzzles, electronics, sensory experiences, and branded worlds, reflecting a society shaped by technology, media, and global consumer culture. Building on the branded franchises and electronic breakthroughs of the 1980s, the 1990s transformed toys into experiences shaped by portability, collectibles, and immersive digital worlds. The decade opens with Polly Pockets, invented by Chris Weeks in the early 90s for his daughter. Play becomes compact, portable, and miniature based, allowing children to carry entire world in their pockets. Socially, it reflects busier lifestyles and on-the-go play. Made from injection molded plastic, Polly Pocket demonstrates how miniaturization reshaped toy design. In 1990s, Super Soccer revolutionizes outdoor play. It transforms water play into high-energy competitive action, reflecting 1990s enthusiasm for performance and innovation. Its design relies on advanced plastic molding and pressure-based mechanics, showing how engineering increasingly influenced toys. Also in 1993, Power Rangers toys, developed by Bandai, combined television, teamwork, and transformed play. Heavily tied to media, they reflect global pop culture and multicultural representation. Plastic action figures and accessories support dynamic role-based storytelling. By 1993, Beanie Babies, created by Ty Warner, introduced a new form of play centered on collecting emotional attachment and scarcity. Socially, they reflect consumer culture and the rise of fandom and speculation. Made from fabric with plastic pallets, they shift focus from function to emotional value. In 1994, the Sony PlayStation, developed by Sony, marks a major leap in digital play. Gaming shifts toward 3D world, cinematic storytelling, and immersive experiences. Socially, it signals the growing overlap between toys, entertainment, and youth adult culture. Materials now include complex electronics, CDs, and advanced controllers. 1990s toys move from the spectacle of the 1980s to personalized, portable, and immersive play, reflecting a society shaped by globalization, technology, and evolving consumer identities. The 2000s saw toys emerging, evolving, and disappearing at unprecedented speed. One major reason for these rapid inventions was the digital revolution. Advances in electronics, sensors, and software made it easier and cheaper to design new interactive toys. Manufacturing processes become faster, globalized, and more flexible, allowing companies to prototype, test, and mass produce toys in record time. Another key driver was the rise of mobile phones and smart devices. As play began to mirror adult technology, mobile phone toys become popular, simulating calling, texting, cameras, and touchscreens, imitating the real mobile phones. Play started shifting from purely physical interaction to imitation, interface-based, and screen-inspired behavior. The 2000s also saw toys becoming more responsive and intelligent. In the late 2000s, the Texta robotic puppy exemplified this change. Using sensors, sound recognition, and programmed behaviors, Texta responded to voice commands, touch, and movement. Play became interactive and relationship-based, blurring the line between toys and companions. Socially, this reflects growing comfort with artificial intelligence and robotics in everyday life. Culturally, toys in the 2000s were heavily influenced by fast-forwarding media trends, video games, movies, and online content. A toy's success often depends on how quickly it could adapt to changing trends. As a result, innovation accelerated but product lifespans shortened. The toy industry shifted from simple objects to hybrid physical-digital experiences of rapid invention, driven by technology, globalization, and digital lifestyles, reshaping how quickly toys are imagined, produced, and replaced. Now that we understand the evolution of toys over the decades, let us examine the evolution of a particular toy to gain a deeper understanding. Taking dolls as an example, dolls have existed for thousands of years, evolving alongside human culture, technology, and ideas of childhood. As early as 2000 BC, dolls appeared in ancient civilizations like Egypt, Greece, and Rome, made from wood, clay, and ivory. These dolls were used not only for play but also for rituals and protection. These dolls were handmade from cloths and wood. Simple in form, they reflected everyday life and social traditions. By the 17th and 18th centuries, dolls took on a new role. Fashion dolls from France and England were used in showcase clothing trends, becoming symbols of status and styles. The 19th century brought industrialization. With mass production, dolls become more affordable and widely available. Materials like bisque and porcelain introduced realism and detail. In the early 20th century, composition dolls emerged, reflecting growing interest in childhood psychology and emotional expression. The 1950s marked a turning point in the introduction of plastic. Dolls become lighter, stronger, and accessible to children around the world. In 1959, Barbie changed doll history forever. As the first adult proportioned fashion doll, Barbie shifted play from caregiving to aspiration and imagination. Through the 1960s and 70s, dolls expanded to include action figures, carriers, and lifestyle narratives influenced by television and popular culture. The 1980s and 1990s saw dolls become part of powerful media franchises, deepening emotional connections and collectibility. In the 2000s, customization and digital influence reshaped doll play, blending physical toys with interactive experiences. By the 2010s, dolls began reflecting real-world diversity, embracing different body types, skin tones, ability, and identities. Today, in the 2020s, doll design focuses on sustainability, inclusivity, and digital integration, continuing to evolve with society. The evolution of dolls reveals more than changing toys. It tells the story of how culture, identity, and imagination grow across generations. So you must have seen the history of a toy is never just the history of an object. It is a story shaped by culture, technology, materials, and the changing lives of children and societies. Every toy carries within it the ideas, skills, and values of its time. As you move forward in this course, look beyond what a toy is and begin to ask why it is the way it is. Because understanding the past of toys helps us imagine their future. As we come to the end of this lecture, take a moment to look around you at the toys you see and the stories people carry from their own childhoods. Talk to parents, grandparents, artisans, and collectors. Each conversation reveals a small piece of toy history. These everyday encounters can be just as insightful as books and archives. Until we meet again, stay curious, enjoy observing the world of play around you, and keep discovering the joy hidden in toys.